Good evening and welcome to another edition of Talking Wrestling. I'm Ralph Williams and we're here tonight on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see that here. And we're broadcasting on Melon tonight. And also, I have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm waiting for my co-host, Smokin Jim Frazier, as always by phone as of right now. So what we're going to do tonight is we're talking a lot of stuff tonight. I tell you what, we have some breaking news tonight about a bunch of stuff. And I got to tell you, when you hear this breaking news, excuse me, there he is. Speaking of the man. All right, there's Smokin Jim Frazier live. It's great to have you on, Smokin Jim. Thanks for being on. All right, how is everything with you tonight? Oh, real good. Can't wait to get the show started here as we're doing right now. I'm glad you were able to get here because I have some breaking news that's going to shake your cradle. You ready? Mandy Rose has been released by the WWE. It's the truth. Well, here's the story I got. The story I got was that she put some stuff on social media on one of those ridiculous platforms. You know, the ones where you can show your body and put up nude photos or half nude photos or whatever, and say things you're not supposed to say, things like that. Well, apparently, what had happened was that she violated the WWE social media clause, and she went ahead and put stuff up on the internet that was inappropriate, and they fired her. So she's gone. She's been released. So I don't know what's going to happen after that. I do know she lost her title in this last pay per view they had, and so you know, uh, I can't remember the lady's name off the top of my head. I misplaced my notes tonight. Yeah, yeah, her. Yeah, it was her. And then Braun Breaker beat Apollo Crews and to retain his belt. And the New Day, they beat the tag team titles down there in NXT, and now they are new NXT tag team champions. And New Day, what New Day is going to do is New Day is going to defend those titles on SmackDown. So New Day will be on both NXT and SmackDown in between. But the thing that bothers me here, Smoking Jim, and I think you'll agree with me, I didn't agree with this because they took Soa Sikoa's belt from him because he was on SmackDown. Shawn Michaels did, and now it's not fair that the New Day get to defend their belts on SmackDown when Soa Sikoa wasn't able to defend his North American championship. He had to give it up to Shawn Michaels. What's your thinking on this? Yeah, exactly. I'm not real pleased about this at all either. And what's happening is that it's unfortunate, to have this happen to everybody, and now wrestlers have to pay the price for it, and I don't think that's fair. And I know you don't think it's fair either, and that's a shame what happens with this stuff here. Anyway, but anyway, I have some really other breaking news that you and I discussed, Smoking Jim, and I sent you the thing on it. Vince McMahon is back, and my question to you is, what do you think about this? Well, I think it's a bad move. I think, well, then again, I'm wrong. Okay. Here's the consensus going around. And the consensus is this, that Vince McMahon needed a break. Okay. With everything that's been going on and all the stuff that's happened, Vince McMahon needs a break. So now Vince McMahon got his break. Now my thing is, I think he's going to come back and he's not going to think like he was thinking before, because you know as well as I do, late 70s, early 80s type people, they get burned out quickly. So I think Vince McMahon was burned out. I think he was trying to handle everything himself. COVID hit. He laid off all these people, released all these wrestlers. He did, things backwards. I think personally, but he's not. He already removed Triple H from creative, so we're going to find out what's going to happen. Maybe he learned his lesson. Maybe there's some things Triple H can work with him on. But I hope he doesn't do what he did before, because if he does, we're going to have WWE is going to be in a big bad way. I believe in this as well. Next, breaking news, Smokin' Jim. Matt Riddle has been suspended for 6 weeks. Plus, he has an injury from the WWE for substance abuse policy violation. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke pot. He took some kind of medication, didn't report it to the WWE. They found out it was on their list of medications that you're not allowed to take on their, substance abuse policy. So Matt Riddle got suspended. He's suspended again, as I mentioned just now, for 6 weeks. What's your thoughts on this? I said Matt Riddle got suspended because he violated the substance abuse policy for the WWE. So what's your thoughts on this? Right. Yeah, we have some big time breaking news tonight, Smoking Jim. That's just something else. I mean, it's crazy what's going on tonight. You know what I mean, with the breaking news. So you're watching Talking Wrestling. My name's Ralph Williams. If you're new to the program, also we have Smoking Jim Frazier by phone, my co-host. And I also want to let you know, coming up in January, there's going to be some changes. We're going to be moving to a new channel. We'll let you know when it comes up in January as well. And as of right now, all shows are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So make sure you get on one of them platforms. Call your friend, call your cousin, call somebody, get them here watching Talking Wrestling, the only show where we get in depth about wrestling. We don't just come on for 5 minutes and give some kind of stupid report and go away. That's what a couple of these guys are doing, Smoking Jim. They're coming on, they're giving reports for 5 minutes and then they're disappearing. And there's other folks that have wrestling podcasts as well, but there are wrestlers who really don't know how to broadcast like we do. And so, that's why I like the way we do things here on this program. All right, next. I want I tell you what, it's been a bad week for the Jericho Appreciation Society. Chris Jericho lost his title at this Saturday's ROH event, which was the final battle. It was a great program from what I looked at and I saw. I didn't watch the pay-per-view. I refused to pay for it. I didn't watch it, but I did watch some of a recap that I saw. And I got to tell you, it was a good show. Samoa Joe retained his TV title. Chris Jericho lost his belt to Claudio Castronovi, formerly known as Cesaro. And like I said, it was somewhat of a bad night for the Jericho Appreciation Society, because Wheeler Yuta won the ROH Pure Championship from Daniel Garcia. Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, they were the only ones that won matches for the Jericho Appreciation Society. Also, the Embassy, they beat Dalton Castle and the boys. They won the 6-man tag team belts for ROH and the Brisk. And I tell you who else, Smoking Jim, had a bad week. The FTR guys. They lost on Wednesday night to the AEW tag team titles from the Acclaim. They lost to the Acclaim. The Acclaim reclaimed their titles. And then they went into final battle on Saturday and they lost to the Briscoes. So they lost their ROH tag team belts to the Briscoes. Now, instead of having three tag team belts, they now have two from two other places. What's your thoughts on this, Smoking Jim?
Man, I tell you what, Ralph, I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say on this one.
Well, I think FTR was trying to get greedy and and claim all the belts, which there's nothing wrong with that, of course. You know that, Smoking Jim. There's nothing wrong with being greedy. You know, as Michael Douglas once said in Wall Street, greed is good. You know, so so anyway, so therefore, what I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with being greedy. They try to get it all. They try to go after the Acclaim, and the Acclaim beat them. And then on Saturday, they got beat by the Briscoes in a dog collar match. Now the Briscoes, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Briscoes. I've met them personally. The Briscoes are a team that has been around for a long, long time. They come from the Briscoe family. You know, Jerry Briscoe and all of them. They come from there. And I'm sure you hear my dog getting involved here a little bit. You know, he says he was upset about the Briscoes beating FTR. We're in Studio B tonight here at 808 Studios here in Allentown, section of the city of Pittsburgh. I'm Ralph Williams along with Smokin' Jim Frazier, and we're talking about the fallout from the final battle ROH had on Saturday. I'm not happy the fact that Jericho lost to Claudio Castronovi, because by him losing to if Claudio would have lost Smoking Jim, he would have been forced to join the Jericho Appreciation Society. But by beating Jericho, he doesn't have to worry about doing that. Excuse me. And then uh, Daniel Garcia, who was torn between the Black Society, or the Black Whole Society, or Back Combat Club, and Jericho's Appreciation Society. He decided to join the Jericho Appreciation Society, and he lost his belt to Wheeler Yuta, who's part of that the Blackpool Combat Club is what it's called. I'm sorry, Blackpool Combat Club. And then, of course, Samoa Joe. He is the TNT champion and the TV title holder for ROH. He's putting up his TNT title tonight. And then last Saturday, he won the TV title. He has two titles now. He has the TV title for ROH. My question is he going to fight with both when ROH goes their separate ways? Tony Khan is trying to get that going back up again with a TV network, and going back up the way it was once before on its own footing. All right, Smoking Jim, let's talk about the Raw results from Monday night. Bailey lost to Alexa Bliss for the number one contender spot to beat Bianca Belair. What's your thoughts on that, or to go up against Bianca Belair?
Yeah, I was a little surprised about that, but that match could have went either way. But I don't think we've heard the last of Bailey. That's for sure.
Oh no, no. Bailey's one thing I could say, Smoking Jim, is Bailey is a consistent person. She's constant. She'll, no matter what happens, she will push for that title. I don't care what she needs to do by hook or by crook to get it. Her goal when she came back from her injury was to go after Bianca Belair, and she's doing that as well. But Alexa Bliss, from what I'm the stories I'm hearing, is going to go back to her ways with Bray Wyatt. It already started Monday night. Uncle Howdy showed up again, and as part of Bray Wyatt's little thing there, and it looks like she could be going back with Bray Wyatt and getting back into that kind of a format. So we're going to find out exactly what happens. She's going up against Bianca Belair in the future here. Chad Gable versus AJ Styles. You know who won that match? AJ Styles. What's your thoughts on that match?
Yeah, I had a feeling that AJ Styles pulled that one off, man. That was a tough one. That was a tough match.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Chad Gable and Otis are always tough to fight against. I'm surprised they haven't been put into the championship contention a little bit more, but that's neither here nor there. But I think they're a good team together. Their chemistry is good, but I think they just lack experience. They lack there's something that they lack, and I don't know what it is. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, there's something missing because nobody should be able to beat Otis anywhere.
And he put time, right?
Anybody beating them, but like you said, they're just a step or two off. You
Yes.
know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, the next one, the Judgment Day took on the Street Profits and Akira Tozawa. You know who won this one? I hate to say it, Judgment Day. You know, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just the way it is. Street Profits and Akira Tozawa. Akira Tozawa, he's been on a little bad luck streak lately. He lost to Dom last week, Dominic Mysterio, and then he went up against the three of them with the Street Profits this week. And the Street Profits are just now starting to get back in order after Montez Ford had a foot injury. And, so we're going to find out where the Street Profits go from here. What do you think about that?
Well, the Street Profits are exciting. You know, they got a great combination of the acrobatic guy, the strong guy, and but I tell you what, man, this Judgment Day's down, man. I've been telling you that all along. I think I'm the only one that really sees the magic with them because they can't talk, they can't promote themselves, and they, but they just keep on winning, man. And winning is contagious,
Right.
they just it's a great habit to get into, and they're in the habit of winning right now.
Well, you know what Jesse Ventura always says, it doesn't matter how you win, is how you do it. And if you have to cheat, that's what you do. You know what I mean? So that's my man, Hall of Famer Jesse Ventura. So next week we will get into our Where Are They Now segment. We haven't done it for a couple weeks. I wanted to get into this breaking news today, some of the news things we had. And if you're late tuning in, Matt Riddle has been suspended by the WWE. These are the three breaking stories coming from the. Oh, I got one more for you, Smoking Jim. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Sasha Banks is joining AEW. She'll be joining them in January.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's huge.
she's going under a different name, Mamana Urbana or something like that. She's got a different name, but you'll see her. She'll be on AEW. Supposedly, the story I heard was her and WWE went round and round with contract talks. There were some clauses that she wanted in the contract that the WWE couldn't meet. So she moved on, and Tony Khan signed her, and now she'll be joining them in January. So that just strengthens AEW's women's division just a little bit. They need somebody like a Sasha Banks because their women's division really isn't all that great. And I think you'll agree with me on that. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it's that great. And I think what they need to do is they really need to get somebody like that. And they need to get a couple more people like that as well to strengthen their women's division. What's your thoughts on that? Hey, what's interesting though, Smoke and Jim, you have AEW to compete with WWE, which means that gives wrestlers who gets released from WWE an opportunity to go to AEW. But the only downfall now is WWE now, when Vince McMahon comes back, he's not for wrestlers coming back now. Triple H brought back a bunch of guys who, were with AEW, and he brought them back. But the question is now, are they going to be bringing them back again, or what's going to happen with that? But now let's go into the card for Monday night on Raw. Candice LeRae, she took on Io Sky. You know who won that? Io Sky. For some strange reason, Damage Control keeps getting the best of um, Candice LeRae, who is married to Johnny Gargano, as you well know. And so that's the thing there. Elias versus Soa Sikoa. You know who won that one? Soa Sikoa. It's a shame, but what's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I tell you what, that was somewhat predictable. I think you pretty much could have called all the results that was happening on Monday night. Now there was a few surprises on SmackDown Friday night, but um, I think you pretty much could have wrote the script for Monday night.
Yeah, well, you know what, Smoke and Jim, I think you'll agree over the last few years, but I know Triple H in the last 6 months or more has been trying to do some different things with WWE. Their scripts have been the same, everything has been the same, nothing has changed. So you basically have a pretty good idea what kind of storylines they're doing. I got frustrated about that one storyline with the Dominic Mysterio and the Rhea Ripley going over to Ray's house. Oh, by the way, speaking of Rey Mysterio, his contract is up. He is officially finished with the WWE. Once he comes off of injury, rumor has he may be going to AEW as well, or just maybe going off into the sunset. He's in his upper 40s, almost 50 years old, and said that his body cannot possibly take any more possible wrestling. He does own a wrestling school in San Diego, so I'm thinking what's going to happen is he'll probably go back to managing that full time. What's your thoughts on Ray hanging it up?
And I mean, you sooner or later, um, you, your body just gives out on you. I mean, look at Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I know.
He's a
Yeah.
shell of the guy that he used to be. I mean, your body just can't take that kind of, you know, um, the guy had to make up for being wrestling guys over 100 pounds bigger than him. He was acrobatic, um, jumping here, there, kicking, rolling, getting thrown out, getting
Right.
thrown
Yeah.
out of the ring.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and if anybody earned the right to, um, to enjoy their retirement and teach the younger guys, the art of wrestling, is Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, also, yeah, Ray, I noticed that when he did come back, and as I said before, when you get into your upper 40s in that kind of business, your body starts to tear down just a little bit. Your body bone structure changes, things like that. And so what has happened, I believe, is that Ray has changed in his bone structure and his body, and he just can't take the beating up anymore like he used to. And he was getting injured a lot. And then this feud with his son, which, of course, from what I'm understanding, is actually for real. He's with Rhea Ripley, their boyfriend and girlfriend. It's official, so it's not a storyline. Okay, but the storyline was that thing at Thanksgiving when they showed up at the house because I was told that if this was not a storyline by the WWE, then the WWE was going to either fire them or suspend them for being in jail, possibly probably firing. But it's a storyline because you see they're still working, and so that's what's going on with that. What's your thoughts on this storyline here with Dominic and his dad?
Well, I tell you what, I think it's moving away from that with Mama.
It looks like she's mama to a lot of people. That's what it looks like. Yeah, yeah,
I think they're looking better and better together, and I think that's the direction that they're going to move. They're moving away from whatever happened with him and his dad, and just
yeah.
moving on with the love story.
Yeah, and I also believe, and I don't want to say this because I'm not a big fan of Dominic Mysterio's, but I will say he has become a better wrestler since he's been with the Judgment Day. That I do know, and I've seen it in him. He's more intense than when he was with his dad, and he's doing things that he wants to do, and that's a good thing. There's not wrong with doing what you want to do. Correct, Smoking Jim?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, next the Oscar versus Rhea Ripley. I'm not even going to go there. Rhea Ripley won that match, but Asuka really looked awful. She looked like she was really depressed, as I mentioned from her Facebook post. The understanding I have is she's very depressed, very unhappy with the WWE right now because they haven't found anything for her. They keep putting her into this thing with Bianca Belair at Survivor Series. Then they had her competing in the match. Then they had her in the background. Then they had her at catering doing nothing and serving food. Then they had her handing out towels. I mean, they just had her doing all kinds of stuff. She wants to be involved in some kind of thing, and I think there's just no space for her. And she basically is quite frustrated now. I did hear that she's going to go back to her old name from the New Japan Wrestling days. I'm not sure what that name is. I can find out for us for next week. But she's going to go back to that name. And I heard she's going to become a heel and go back to that name. So we're going to find out what happens with that as we go along. What's your thoughts on Oscar?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. It's for the medical staff right now. Like you said, I hope back up. She gets a little help. I would hate to see. anything happen. Because she has a bright future in wrestling. Depression is a serious spirit, man.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I think she just needs some time off. And get everything together, bro.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on this as well. All right. Next, the last match of the night was Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins, number one contenders match for the U.S. title, which is held by your good buddy Austin Theory. So here's what happened: Seth Rollins won that match. Lashley went ballistic. He was pissed. He was mad, and I don't blame him. The referee kind of did some stuff that he shouldn't have done. Lashley started arguing with the referee, took his focus off of Rollins, and you know what happened after that. He used the pedigree and a couple other moves, and he finally was able to beat Lashley for the 3 count. Now, Lashley even went after Adam Pearce, who, as you know, is an official, and Adam Pearce fired him. He said, "You're fired. You're gone." Well, Adam Pearce had to come on social media, and I saw it on his account on Twitter, and he came on and issued an apology. He said that he was sorry that for his conduct, WWE made him do this, and that he did not have the authority to really fire him. So Lashley is still with the WWE. Punishment to be determined. Participation will be our guide, as they say too. You know who says that? I had to get that out, Smoking Jim. You know that. I'm always on him. I'm always on him about the stuff he says because it's just so funny about the stuff he says. It's hilarious. Oh, by the way, I'll tell you what I should bring back, and I haven't lately because we've been having a lot of guests on the show. I should bring back the fake Mike Tomlin press conference. I need to bring that back. There we go. That'd be some. That'd be some entertainment. Yeah. So I haven't had that on. That hasn't been on for a while. But anyway, Bobby Lashley. He lost a match. He was frustrated. I don't blame him. He's been around a while. I'm hearing stories. He wants to leave WWE. He could go to AEW, or he could go back to New Japan, or he could just retire and go back to MMA. I don't know what his thoughts are on what's going on. But what are your thoughts on Bobby Lashley?
I'm glad he's still with WWE. Long as he's healthy, um, he's a good, guy that carries a lot of fanfare with him. Strong guy, in shape, very intense, championship capable. Um, guy. Now, when he's
Right.
injured or something like that, then get him out of there and make sure he doesn't come back and do what's healthy. But when he's healthy, you got to have Bobby Lashley. He's a guy that don't mind wrestling each and every week,
Right.
which is something you can't say for Roman Reigns.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Roman Reigns, he has an injury, and he suffered it in the War Games match. That's why he hasn't really been around. There's also some stories that Roman Reigns is going to shave his head bald.
I don't want to see that.
I don't either. But no, I already saw pictures of it. I should send one to you of him being bald. You know what I mean? So, also, by the way, if you see it flashing at the bottom of your screen, my email address, ralphwilliams737 at gmail.com. If you want to make some comments about the show. Do you like the show? Do you hate the show? Do you think we're silly? But that's beside the point. But, my email's at the bottom of your screen as well. I forgot to mention all shows. If you see the ticker take at the bottom, or on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter are our platforms right as of right now. Smoking Jim, let's get into the SmackDown results. Usos, of course, as you know, beat the Brawling Brutes. It was supposed to be a match with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, which would have been a great match against the Usos for the title, but Drew had to back out. They're keeping Drew out of wrestling right now. He's got an injury. He wants to compete, which of course he's that kind of guy. He wants to compete, but the WWE medical staff says he can't, so he was unable to. So one of the Brawling Brutes filled in, and it happened to be Butch. It was Butch and Sheamus against the Usos. It was a good match. Sad the Usos won, of course. You all rode with the Usos. Do you think they're going to be able to lose their titles, or do you think they're going to still continue to reign on?
I think they're in a good place right now. They built the storyline. Long as Sami Zayn is part of the mix, I think that they'll hold on to that title for a little while. I, I don't know who would beat them at this point.
Oh, I know. Everybody's been at
Talent.
him. Yeah, you're right. Everybody's been at him, so I'm not real sure exactly who could even beat him. I would tell you this much: if the Briscoes were to ever come to the WWE, I think the Briscoes could beat the Usos. So that would be a great match. And I don't know if you're aware of this too. I think I told you last week. Umaga's son has come into the late Umaga, who's also a cousin of the Usos and all them. Well, he's now in the WWE. He's wrestling in NXT. So, so we're gonna find out where he goes and how he does. And Rock's daughter is in the NXT as well. So yeah, Rock's daughter's in there. I think her name starts with an M, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, that's what's going on there with that, as far as their family goes as well. All right, the Ricochet and the New Day, they took on Imperium. They won. They beat Imperium, as you know, this Friday. Ricochet versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title. What do you think is going to happen with this match, Smokin' Jim? I think Gunther is going to retain. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Then again, Ricochet could surprise you. He has. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going with Gunther too. I think he's just a little bit too physical with everybody but Braun Strowman.
He's running from Braun Strowman. I've never seen Gunther run from anybody except Braun Strowman. I mean, and it takes three guys he even beat all three of the Imperium guys. So I don't. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. You know what? That's going to be like two freight trains colliding together and crashing into one another when that happens. You know what they always say with that. So anyway, Tegan Knox and Liv Morgan took on Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. They were able to squeeze out a victory. Knox and Morgan against them two ladies. That's a surprise. You usually never can pull out a victory against them two, Rousey and Baszler. I know Rousey and Baszler will get their revenge somehow. What do you think?
Yeah, that was my big surprise. I seen that when they got beat, they got distracted and Ronda Rousey got distracted and they was able to you know pin her partner and I was very shocked there. But like you said, they'll get it back.
We have some comments in the comment section, Smoking Jim. It means people are watching.
That's great.
All right, it says, so they released Mandy Rose just because she had some sexy pics in her personal WWE account. That's sexism. Will any wrestling host speak out on this? Next is, I've been a female fan of pro wrestling for a long time, but things are just ridiculous. And also Rhonda SMH. So there you go. There's our comments for the night. I want to thank those who have put out the comments tonight, and also for those who are watching. It's great to have you on board here on Talking Wrestling. We're here every Wednesday night. Normally it's 7:30, but tonight Smokin' Jim had a meeting to go to, and it says they need to make a secondary women's title, Ralph, like the Intercontinental Women's title. That's a suggestion. AEW has two women's titles. They have that TBS title, and they have their women's title. And Jade Cargill is still that TBS title, and that strengthens their women's division, Smoking Jim. I agree here. Thank you, Rochelle, for tuning in tonight here on Talking Wrestling. What do you think about that, Smoking Jim? You think WWE should come up with another women's title other than the tag team belts and the women's title as it is, and the two titles? Do you think they need another one?
I enjoyed women wrestling. I
Mm.
think it's the fastest rising of all the athletes is the women. They're incredible, and yeah, I would like to see more opportunities for them to get crowned.
Have I heard anything? Here's a comment here. William says, have I heard anything about Brock Anderson? Yeah, Brock Anderson's wrestling in the independents, and he's wrestling in MLW and a few other places. He was just involved in a tag team match with and it involves Ricky Steamboat and Brock Anderson's been wrestling. He's doing like a little tour. He's going to MLW, New Japan. He's doing some of that stuff. Uh, and William also says can hear you fine, Mr. Williams, but can't hear Smoking Jim very well. Well, I have some new equipment tonight that we're working with, and according to my gauge here, Smoking Jim's coming through okay. So we'll see what happens when I go through the archive version. Anyway, Smoking Jim, any last minute thoughts before we go?
No, I tell you what, man, it's exciting time for wrestling and the wrestling fan, especially with Vince McMahon coming back. It'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see if some of the people that are suspended that he lifts the suspension and have executive privilege and brings them back.
it says the one commenter who said they couldn't hear Smoking Jim very well. The other one said it could be your speaker system. I hear Smoking Jim. I tell you what, we have some good viewers here on this program and on our other shows. They're Smoking Jim. We have some great folks who, it's great to hear some comments from people about things. It's good to know, you know.
There's nothing on the planet better than true wrestling fans.
Oh, absolutely. They are. They're the best and they're the most loyal. I mean, they could go away anywhere and they spent the most money too. I mean, so I didn't get the attendance figure on SmackDown at PPG Paints Arena, but I will find out. I'll get back to you with it next week, Smoking Jim. I think it was a pretty good turnout. But you know something? I wasn't very pleased with the card. You see what I rambled off for matches. It seemed like they did a lot of talking and there was a lot of stuff going, stupid, silly stuff going on. And then you have your commercials in between, which I understand. But the match between the Usos and the Brawling Brutes was a little long, which of course that's a good thing. And then the Ricochet New Day match against Imperium was a little stretched out. And there was a few, it just a lot of talking, a lot of stuff, and not a lot of wrestling, which is what I like about AEW. There's a lot of wrestling. Also tonight on Dynamite, you have MJF taking on Ricky Starks for the title and for the ring. MJF has that ring. So here's Rachel with her comments. I like your show, Ralph, because you seem fair and not enchanted like all these fans. Boys, I'm serious. Most wrestling shows they've got these days in superhero shirts trying to be in the business. I appreciate that, Rochelle. Thank you. And Smoking Jim thanks you as well for that. And then they get flirty with me because they never meet any woman fans. Wow, that's crazy. That's great. Well, that's not good, but I mean, I understand what you mean. With these wrestlers, I understand. Uh, Smoking Jim, it's been a pleasure tonight. Thanks for being on the program as always. You're my favorite person for a co-host, and don't forget to tune in next Wednesday for Talking Wrestling. No Wrestle Talk on Blog Talk Radio tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I have a prior obligation, so there will be no Wrestle Talk tomorrow. Next Thursday, we're going 90 minutes. We'll start at 7:30. Next Thursday night, we'll be talking wrestling and sports. So join us on Blog Talk Radio next Thursday at 7:30. We're going 90 minutes, Smoking Jim, 90 minutes. So also, William says, Smoking Jim, I'm a real broadcaster. It says, and that's why no wrestling guys flirt with me so far. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. Smoking Jim, thank you as always. Have a great night and a good evening. Please be safe. And I will talk to you on Tuesday night for Sports Corner. We're going to have our year-end show coming up next in the next week or so. And we have a lot of year-end stuff to talk about, guests we've had on the show. We're going to also Tuesday night, Smoking Jim, get your notebook out. We're going to go over the bowl games coming up. There is some bowl games coming up this Saturday. We're going to go over the bowl games, and I want to get your predictions on the Pitt UCLA game and some of the other ones coming up as well. Some of the bigger games. I think there's some good matchups. Also, we're going to talk about the quarterbacks out there for the transfer portal. So we got a lot to talk about Tuesday night, and I'm rounding up some guests as always, as you know. Sports Corners pumping up the world. We're getting up in the world there. It's just too bad we're not on the nightly sports call or on the final word or the sports showdown or none of them shows yet, but we're getting there. So have a good night, everybody, and be safe. Thank you for watching.